In this video, we'll be covering the difference between a domain name and web hosting. Hey, what's up? I'm Mark Bellini, and I'm all about achieving financial independence through real estate investing and online business. So if you're new to the channel and you're looking to achieve financial freedom for yourself, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. It really helps me out a lot, and I'll be sure to keep cranking out these videos. So I've helped a number of people create their first website in the past, and one of the most common questions I get is what's the difference between a domain name and web hosting? So I kind of want to clear that up so there's no confusion and you can get started with your site. So I'll show you here on the screen. So if you look here, I have like a little house, and this is basically your domain name. And what I mean by that, it's your www.whateveryourwebsite.com. And then hosting is kind of like the land that it sits on. And so you can take your house or your domain name, and you can place it on some land here, which is a host. You can place it on a certain web host, and they will host your website for you. But you can actually change where your house sits. You can go pick it up and move it somewhere else. And if you don't like it there, you can move it another place. And so what people will do is they'll type in, www.whateveryoursiteis.com, and it will go to this location, this address basically, and they will be presented with your location, basically your house or your domain. So that's kind of how it works and why they're separate. They're two separate things, and they exist independently from each other. And so I kind of want to help you get started here. So if you are looking to get started with buying a domain name and hosting, the best way to get started is to go to instantdomainsearch.com, and then this is a place where you can find your domain name, because a lot of them are taken or unavailable basically. And so you can search. So let's say you're trying to sell some nice headphones. So let's do luxury headphones. And I'll tell you what's available. You're not going to do luxuryheadphones.com because you're not going to spend $12,000 probably. So you can do like luxuryheadphones.net, luxuryheadphones.co, or you can change the URL to something different. So like, let's see, luxuryheadphonesshop.com. So that'd be good if you're doing like a online shop for luxury headphones, right? So that would be good for that. And so let's say that that's what you want to do. You want to do, let's say this one, luxuryheadphones.net. So let's go over to one of my favorite places to buy domain names is Namecheap, because it is very cheap to buy your domain names here. And so you just go in here, let's do luxuryheadphones.net. And here we go, $10.98 per year. And so, it says retail $12.98. So yeah, they're a little bit cheaper. I buy my domain names from Namecheap exclusively because it's a great place to buy domain names, basically. Super cheap and easy to work with. And from there, you need web hosting. And there's a number of places to go for that. And I've used a number of hosts. Like I said in the visual before with the house and the land, I've moved my house multiple times to change hosting to something that's faster or more reliable or whatever the reason is. So I started off with Bluehost.com. They're a great place to get started. And like I said, you can buy domains and hosting from the same company, but I would keep those separate because you want to be able to move them independently of each other. Because if you buy both from the same company and you try and split them up later, it's a really big hassle, and they really don't want you to do that, and it's just more trouble than it's worth. So if you keep them separate in the first place, it's a lot easier to move your site around to different hosts. So just a little piece of advice there. So they are pretty cheap. I think it's like, let's see. Yeah, like $275 a month. That's pretty cheap, really cheap. And you get one website, 50 gigs of storage, and that's what you have to think of when you're looking at all these different plans and different hosts, is all the features that are offered. And so you want to keep that in mind when you're doing this here. And there's also a thing called shared hosting and dedicated hosting. So shared hosting means you share a server with other websites. Dedicated hosting means you have your own server. And so it's basically more secure and faster, but it is more expensive. So keep that in mind. If you're a big business and you need your own dedicated server, that's probably the best way to go. But if you're really small and just getting started, or it's like a blog or like a really small website, like shared hosting is probably fine to get started with. Another one I've used is SiteGround. I have a website or two on SiteGround, and they are great. I haven't had any issues with them so far. A little bit more expensive, but not by much. They're still pretty cheap as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. Yeah, web hosting. So what you have to do is just kind of like look between their options here and see if you need what they're offering for these upgrades. So you get, basically what happens is when you pay more, your website's going to load faster is basically what they're selling you on. Maybe they have some storage, extra storage, or security features and things like that. Another one here is Kinsta, and this one's definitely more expensive. It's $30 a month for their basic plan, and it's one WordPress install. And some of these hosts are like very specific for like WordPress hosting. So if you have a WordPress site, some hosts are better for that than others. So Kinsta is good. I think some of these, and this one might be included, I'm not sure, I have to look a little bit deeper, but a lot of these have free backup too. So if you happen to lose your site, or if you do a change and it kind of messes up the site completely, you can do like a backup that was like maybe a few days before or something like that. So that's a very good feature to keep in mind as well. And lastly, I have here is Flywheel, and they are similar to Kinsta. I'm not sure what the pricing is here. $13 a month for their basic, and then kind of go up from there. And they kind of do this differently. They have a number of monthly visits and bandwidth and things like that. So just see what fits best for you and kind of go from there. One really cool thing about Flywheel is that if you use WordPress with them, you can have a sandbox site and a live site. What I mean by that is you can have a sandbox where you do all your changes, your text changes, your image changes, maybe you're changing some layout, whatever you're doing, and then you hit the publish button and that'll push it all to the web and make it live. So you don't have to edit the live site and do things incrementally, which is not great. So doing it in a sandbox and then pushing those updates is an excellent feature. So that's something really cool with Flywheel here. So that pretty much covers it. I just wanted to go over the difference between a domain name and web hosting so you understand, and kind of how to get started. So if you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.